Hi, Saggies. I'm Joy with Joy to the World. We're here to do a quick check in and check up on what's going on in the energies around you right now. And I went ahead and pulled out 3 cards to see where we're at and where we're starting from so that we can get a directive. And what I see going on here is kind of someone did you a little bit wrong. A situation, a person, place, thing, who knows. But it seems like it came to an ending. And it didn't align with how you saw it because you were seeing things differently than what it was being portrayed as, okay? And this has to do with another person, clearly. And it has to do with someone who seemed of good moral character and value. They portrayed themselves a certain way. And you, being intuitive as you are, you checked in and it felt in alignment that you were seeing their character correctly, and then it ended. Things came to an end. It's almost like life put a halt to it for you. It was like a merging of your mind, because in here we have is the Seven of Fire, and it's courage. And in here we have more of the 4D realm. It's literally the two worlds merging, the above and below coming together in a practical manner, in a life application style. And it took on a new dimension. And it's like your mind has been focused on that and almost, I'd say, stuck or stalled there because you need a point, a wrap up, some closure, aside from the like the ending here where it just terminates. But what is happening here is you're looking deeper at it. The pieces are, in a sense, being broken down to smaller bites where you can make more sense of it. And as you were doing that, is creating a pathway of life beyond this. That instead of turning back and losing time and energy and space, and I hear you kind of saying "and face," it's not so much with others, but with yourself, losing faith with yourself, losing faith in yourself. You see, this path of life is opening up for you. And it's like a path of passion, a path of the heart. It's a continuation of what seemed to terminate. Now, whether that's a reunion in a relationship or not, or progress in that previous specific thing, it's not to say. But it's to say you were not going the wrong way. You were correct in your believing. And things turn or seemed or perceived that way to draw you to this place. And you were to continue on this path that you were going, with or without that situation, okay? But in order to do that, there's this transformation that needs to occur. And here we have the Judgment card. And you see in this Judgment card, it's a surrender, it's a lifting up, it's a crying out. But here she's not just lifting up her thoughts, her feelings, she's lifting herself up. You see her arms are really raised, and in that her soul is being lifted up, and she is spreading out her wings, spreading out her arms. Her heart is fully open, and that's what we see here. As I see the Mars and Leo in this card, is that that opening is there. So whether you could see it or not, you see this green and teal coming past. It goes beyond the gate, okay, and it's an ascension of sorts. It's a miracle, all right, because out here we have this card, be abundant. And what was right next to it when that one came out was miracles abound. And now it makes sense, is that you're choosing to no longer be stopped by what seems impossible, to see the beginnings and the endings, to be able to transcend, to, I love to say, step over my own dead body. Like when things don't work out or stuff goes wrong, no matter how trifling it is or trivial or how traumatic, how grand, It's being able to step over my own dead body and continue on the path. You know, Sagittarius is the enlightened learner, the journeyer, the Jupiterian energy of taking in so much, processing it, like the baleen whale pulling in the plankton, and they filter it out and release out all the water, but they hold in the nutrition, the nourishment, what is relevant and pertinent to their life force. And that's what's going on here. And just know your dreams are going with you. They weren't lost. They did not die. They were not left behind. All that is being taken up and into consideration in a sense. It's being lifted up. And the energy of the universe, the life force that is facilitating this drawing forth, this path here, is also helping your soul rise up. And from there, it steps into the Fool energy. Okay? And this Fool is just crossing over worlds. It's like, I got my bag, I got my white rose of purity, my pure hope, and I am stepping on and stepping out, and I am dressed for success. It's literally like, here the dog is a wolf, and wolves often represent wounds that we carry, but this one's smiling. It's like the healed wound. Oh, Chiron. The healing of the healer. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's a level that's definitely worth celebrating. No wonder it goes beyond the ending. It's more than the death card. It's more than the tower. It's transcending. Beyond transformation, it's transcending. And that goes back to this 4D you have here. Instead of being divided and separated from yourself, working in the 3D and the 5D and trying to see how they go together, and it's like there's a disconnect, a language barrier between the two, but you've overcome that barrier. Fantastic. And it's going to make such a difference. And that your heart is so world-minded and people-minded. It's really going to connect with others. You're already fantastic at connecting with others, but this beingness, this transcendence. Well, funny. We'll just say it here. It's going to make you even more likable, okay? But it's really relieving, because Jupiter can have a lot of expansion, and that carries a lot of weight and a lot of pressure. But it's almost like popping that bubble, like the whale. Their exhale of sorts is sifting that water back out and retaining the nourishment, that transcendence, that expansion and contraction. It's what moves things forward and brings forth life. The union of body, mind, soul, and we could say spirit here, or we could say, fire, air, earth, and water. But it's really mind, body, soul, and like the union of them is its own portion. Relationship is dynamic. Even relationship with yourself, it has a voice beyond your opinions, beyond your perspective, beyond your thinking. It's just like right now, I'm not looking to hear what I have to say. I'm simply availing my senses to what is greater than us has to say, what our connection has to say, the two of us sitting here, and both of our desires uniting for the brightest hope and future for your life, the one of ease, not easiness, the one of simplicity, not rudimentary. Its foundations are basic. Advanced math is built upon basic principles, and it's once those are innate and they're inherent to the user, everything flows so freely from there without the cumbersomeness of carrying all the books from all the previous grades that you've passed through. So, with that being said about your fantastic self, we're going to get an animal oracle here. And let's see who is stepping on this journey with us, okay? Lovely Saggies. Okay. Ooh, I love him. I love him. I love him. It's the Kingfisher. Isn't he handsome? Fantastic. I love it. So that life force, that life bridge that is taking you beyond, that you're transcending the end of the road and you're passing over, it's green and it's full of life, just like the teal in the Judgment here. We see the back door of the heart being illuminated, activated. There we go. And the energies that are around you that you work with are now working with you. It's a two-way street. And you know that. You're fully connected. And you've come to surrender to this connection, to the understanding that you don't always have to understand. It's that just to be faithful to the process, to surrender to the flow of consciousness. And like the waters of the plasma, the way the fourth state of matter moves. And in that is like a pure prosperity. It takes us back to the baleen whale. It takes us back to true nourishment. True satisfaction, true fulfillment. I can call them true, but really satisfaction, fulfillment, nourishment can only be those things. It can't be the lie. I hope it is, but it's really not. But I'm going to tell myself it is, to make my time worthwhile. Here we see that something had a termination point. It seemed like a waste of time and energy and hopes and dreams, when really life says, oh, and that bridge, that gap, when the full connection of the relationship and the trust and the processing began to occur, and you could break it down to smaller bits and pieces that you could share with others along your journey and path as you move forward and transcend that gap. Between the light and the darkness. It's almost like it's atmospheric. It's amnios. Stick with me more and I might explain what those are. But you get me, okay? So here, that nourishment, and it's not just like the 3D realm where the kingfisher sees the fish and he thinks, I'm hungry, this is what I'm going to do, I shall eat. We also see him watching. He's watching what the fish is eating, and you see the fish is taking on a star right here. And so in essence, it's the kingfisher allowing the union, that relationship, that 4D, the connection of the energies, that language gap to be bridged, to be overcome. That it takes what he cannot touch directly, the prosperity, the fish, the nourishment takes in and is nourished, and then contributes to the furtherance of life by feeding the kingfisher. So, of course, that's all esoteric. So it's more like, the body, mind, and soul, and the relationship, the union, being satisfied, which spirit is union. But it's bigger than what we call spirit. It's bigger than what we call union. So maybe you can just pull in that energy like the baleen whale, all the water and all the plankton just coming in, and trusting your spirit to sift out what is superfluous and retain what is relevant to you. Okay? So we'll move on from there. We're going to step into, scream at me. Let's see. Are we going to pull from the top, or do we need to move them? I see some right here. Okay. Pull them from the bottom. You sneaky devils. What is this about? Okay. Anyways, It has to do with that union, right? Trusting. Ooh. Aw. Okay. Mm. So we're kind of back under this card, and you're all jiving with all this information, but there still is like the loose end of the questions of the heart. I could say the wounds, but it's not totally that. It's the unresolvedness. It's untidy. It's you haven't been able to sift and sort out the water from the plankton. Okay. Because here we have cards number 10 and number 35, and they came together. We have the unfinished symphony, all right, and we have the loyal heart. Here, they're both seated upon the egg, right? Okay, and that has to do with the world, your world, this whole new world that you're embarking upon. Um, yeah. It's like your song has ceased. Okay, so I would encourage you to get into your feels a bit. And you know how to do that, how to move through with your music, right? Or your passion, like your hooping, or say you love driving. It's something that you need that in order to really move through the feelings. But and it's more than likely on most of you it's a relationship here. For a few of you it was a job. That your heart was very loyal and devoted, and you really put yourself into it. And not just yourself, you're always about expansion and growth. So you put more than yourself into it. You extended beyond yourself, reaching, learning, growing, trusting. I love it. You'll say faithing. Faithing. And then you felt kind of like you were played for a fool. So it's interesting that the fool is up there. And here they're kind of made up jester like in their outfit and the pom poms in their hair, and it's kind of like playing the fool in that unfinished symphony. But I can tell you this, an encouragement and a seed of wisdom is the fool is perfect in that it is an open channel. Okay, let's see. There we go. Hello. It's an open channel that for spirit to flow through, for that 4D perfect union to come in, because you get yourself out of the way and you allow pure perfection to flow through something that's still in gestation, still learning, still growing, still new to this thing called life. You know, often we would make different decisions if we had that, 2020 hindsight. But that's part of what life loves, is that union, that bond, that trust of being able to move through into the unknown, okay, and to learn and grow from it. And it does benefit both sides. That's the difficulty there, is it doesn't seem to, the books, the accounts don't seem to rectify in the mind right away, especially not in the heart. But I see a facing of each other in the heart. And then he has his heart in the back, and you have your heart in the front. What does that mean? Okay, we're on something because my ear is going crazy. Oh, wow. Okay, so there are pennants at the top here. And a number of these cards in this deck, I have a blended deck, but in this particular deck has pennants. But in here, aside of the central pennant, is a key and a key. And we can see that both lobes of the heart are open. It's an unlocking of each other's hearts. Okay. Okay. And I see some hidden opposition right now. I'm not here to give relationship advice nor make any promises, but I am telling you the energy that I'm seeing, and it's almost like the keys are hung up there because it's part of the celebration. Is not only were the decisions made, couldn't see that each one of y'all have opened your heart to the other because you had your backs turned to each other, and now you'll keep your backs, but you turn around to look back. It's like, you know, in the movies where they see the hot person pass on by, but it's not just about how they look. They sort of feel something, and then they turn around over their shoulder and they look back, you know, and then they notice that the other one's looking back at them, and it's like, oh, you know, that's what I see going on here. And there was a couple of situations on both ends, on their end and on your end, that was like, there was some stress. Okay, it's obvious there was some stress. That's why I say opposition. It's like in planetary opposites, or in a square, there's tension, okay? But also that's how the levers of our arms, our legs, our hands move, is one makes the motion, the other resists, okay? And that's not how it's always supposed to be here in love and in this movement. But it's almost like it's that 3D-ness, trying to make everything hard in order for it to have merit or value. Which was, I mean, it's just ignorance, and ignorance is simply not knowing until you go through it. And now that there's been that time of reflection, of being able to have alone time to sit with this, to reflect, like this eye down here, and break it into smaller pieces. There's that, what I would hope to be an awareness of the opening. I can tell you that these things are not easily perceived, almost imperceptible, because these are barn owls, and their wings make absolutely no sound. You can't even hear them coming. You definitely can't see them coming, because you can't hear them coming to turn and look. So be on the lookout for what's coming. That's what I gotta say about that. All right, let's see. We're gonna go right here. Just get a little bit more on this, and let's see what's going on. Yikes. That's a chunk, y'all. Can we do it? Okay, these are coming, so we will put these back. Let me turn them the right way. Those came out in a pair. These came out a pair. So we have number 50, the spiral, and number 10, the corn. And in the spiral, it's kind of like that imperceptible quality here. You don't even perceive that your hearts are open to this, because the opposition is kind of what was more attention grabbing. But there are things going on beneath the surface. Life is that life, I'll call it life, that fourth dimension is having its way with this. Just like there are these hidden air chambers. It's kind of like what helps the Nautilus float. But they're imperceptible. You don't even know they're there until a cross section is taken of the spiral. And then you begin to see the wisdom behind what has been going on. You begin to then gain understanding with some effort of like, what is that for? What are those about? How does this make any difference? You know, it's empty, it's void, there's nothing in it, it's wasteful, it's whatever. But at the center of this is convergence of energies. some of the throat and Mercury and Venus. Some of that communication of your feelings, some of that yin energy of reflection. Okay. Leave that there. And then the corn card, which is the 10. And in here, it's abounding in spiritual assistance. It's abounding in these earth angel energies. And not the earth angels like where we normally talk about people who really do kind deeds and are thoughtful and make a difference in lives. This is, it's more of nature. It has to do with like the corn, the spirits in the trees, the gifts of life. But they're moving all about here. And even the birds in the air, we have five spirits flying up here. And to me, 5 is the number of manifestation of being able to take hold of, to being able to grasp. And it's not just with the mind here because they're birds, they're the spirit. It has to do with being able to grasp what's going on here with your mind. And it's going to take, okay, because this is the precipice of where you're at. It is the bridge that you're crossing over, you're transcending, you're gapping right now, okay? You see? Moving over here. It's that, that plasma state. And that's why, even though you've broken it down to pieces, you didn't have that resolution. Also didn't have that perception because it was imperceptible. It's almost like a fingerprint of the divine. Unless you're a forensic specialist, you don't carry around your dust to just, let me check for fingerprints. And we don't have access to the fingerprint vault. And what does that mean? And how do we do that? It's that type of a thing. It's like a whole new world of exploration here. So allow the mystery to overtake the frustration and begin to dance with the energies. I see destiny, strong destiny woven all through this. They are carrying it and transporting it and weaving it in and out of the dailies of life, okay? I also hear a strong assertion here to bless your food. We have different ideas of what that could be, okay? I just simply, when I have my food, whether I prepared it, received it, whatever, I just choose to say thank you, I love you. Because that to me, that pretty much says it all. Something, animal, vegetable, mineral, whatever, had to give of itself in order for me to live. And not to mention all the people and even the earth all along the way of the transportation, the sharing, the caring, that understanding that goes beyond our ability to understand. That's the necessity of the fool. So, bless your food, that open heart, that open mind, that open channel of being able to let love and life flow through you to help you be abounding in happiness. Okay. Oh, whoa, hang on. We had a piggyback card. Oh, that's tricky. That was so stuck it didn't even show itself. Whoa. Well, we'll be done in a minute. Sorry, it's getting a little long here, but this is number 47. Look at that. And that's the smoky mirror. It's kind of like, whoa, the trick. And the reflection can be altered by the state that you're in. So be in a clear state with your emotions. But also in a lucid state. It's not that rigid, breathe in, breathe out 5 seconds. That has its place. But that's not actually what's being called for here. It's more of a stilling of the mind. It's more of a sitting with yourself in your emotions and being clear about what you're feeling. That's some of the loose ends you need to tie up here. Not transmuting them and, being patient or being kind when you're not feeling that way. This is in your private personal time. It's a time to be honest and be exact and true about what it is, so that you get in union with yourself, so that the gap is bridged, so that the connection is clear and true, and the trust and the faith in oneself is trustworthy. That means fully connected. And that guards your mind and your heart. That's what trust does. Well, I think that's it. Hey, it was so nice to share this time with you. Thank you, Saggies. Bye.